of this format. Let's say this, right? So this is November does not have this. Yeah. So yeah, so I hope everyone is clear with it. Great. Apart from that, we discussed quite a few other concepts also. We discussed how we can actually create a date which looks like this, right? Because it's a very common use case for a lot of websites where they would display dates in a very fancy format, right? Or the diary format or whatever, right? So basically the bottom line is we can achieve that. What we need to do is we need to remember these methods: get date, get full month, get full year, and all these things. Not get full month, there's nothing like that. Only get full year is there, right? And then we realize that if we want mapping for, let's say, months or days, etc., we can create an array out of them, and then we can use the same. Okay, yeah. So guys, this covered pretty much all of the date functionality. And then we realized that JavaScript does not have a very good support for date. So we can use Moment.js, which is a JavaScript library. We will discuss about it later once we move to Node, probably, that how do we use this library. Okay, now we move on to more important concepts, right? Which is about objects, right? So guys, we very quick revision. So we know that objects are key value pairs, which look like this. Okay, they can have two types of properties. One can be actual attributes, which we can call properties. The other can be behaviors, which can be called methods, right? So let's say we have a car object. So it can have properties like color, have some value. It can have engine, which can have, let's say, a number value. Let's say this was engine CC, nothing else. Then there could be a function, which could be start, right? So either you can write the anonymous function like this, or you can use your arrow function, which I find to be much simpler. Okay, and this actually starts the engine or does something, right? Okay, and when I take this, I'll just move to my console. Right, I'm typing the code on my console. I write this. Now I can access the properties, various properties. Can anyone tell me how I can access this value, engine CC, for this car? Anyone? Yes, Ajit, tell me how to do it. Yeah, easy, right? You can just say car.engine CC, right? It gives you 1,000. And how can we start the car? How do we start the car? Guys, how do we start the car? How do we call the start function? No, not engine start, car start, right? And gives us engine started, right? So these properties on the object, which are actually functions and not properties are called, what are these called? What is the special name for these functions, guys? Behavior is fine. Method, perfect. Someone said method, that's perfect. Okay, so these are object methods, right? Okay, clear. So good that everyone remembers object properties, object methods, and all these things, right? Okay, what next? Now we need to talk about some other things, right? So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is how do you display an object, right? So when I say display an object, go ahead, Siddiq, just type the question out. So when I say objects, objects are not like strings, right? So this is what I'm going to do, guys. We'll be coming to that only today, don't worry. Okay, so guys, we had seen that, of course, we can change the structure of the HTML, right, using JS. So let's say this was this item, and there was this item 3, right, typically, which we had made. So what I'm going to do is, again, something which I had done in the last class, document.get element by ID. When you select this is going to give you this particular chain, right? When we wanted to change the content of it, we could have said inner text equals, let's say, car, right? You do this and this string becomes car. Visible to everyone? Yes, but guys, so now when we literally have the object car, right? We have the object car. I'll just copy that. Okay, and when I try to do the same, document.get inner text is equal to car, where car is the object and it's not the, where it's not. So please screen side by side. What do you mean side? I don't understand. Are you guys facing problem with the screen? No, is the problem of the console, is this a problem? Okay, not visible at bottom, okay. Fair. Is this okay? Okay, so now what I'm trying to do is I'm saying document.get element by ID 3, which is basically this, and I'll try to assign the car object to it, right? Instead of the car string, I'll say car object, and let's see what happens. So basically, JavaScript, instead of writing the whole object, has written object, right? Do you guys understand what happened? That is because this object, it does not have a display type like a string or a number, right? Right? So guys, but what I wanted to do is I wanted to write all the values, right? Essentially what I mean is this box, right? It should have car property 1, car property 2, and so on and so forth, right? So it should have given me color, engine CC, and of course not start, because start is a method, right? You can't have a function written there. So I'll just, first thing I'll do is I'll simplify my car. Okay, I'm going to remove this, and I'll probably add another property, color, engine, type, sedan. Okay, so now we have a car which is sedan, looks like this. And let's say I want to display all properties of this car in this box, right? Common use case, guys, right? Or even better. So you have 3 items here. One is item 1, item 2, item 3. It's giving object because it's an object, right? JavaScript objects are not something that HTML can understand. It can understand parts of those objects. So we could have said, getting back to this, get element by ID, inner text is car dot, that again, car dot color. When you do that, it's perfectly fine. It will show you red. Correct? Right? But when you given it an object, JavaScript objects cannot be understood by HTML, right? So you have to break down those objects, right? Internally, what will objects have? They will either have strings, they will have numbers, they can have Booleans and other things, right? So a Boolean you can convert to a string. A number you can convert to a string, definitely. But an object, can it be converted to a string, guys? Does anyone know? Not directly. It can't be converted directly. Okay. So let's say we had a use case where we wanted all of these 3 things, the color, the engine, and the type in a serialized format, right? So let's say this was actually my car, and I want to see something like this. Color red, engine CC 1000, type, right? This is a perfectly valid use case. There could be times when you need your object because you would most likely be storing your data in objects, right? Imagine you had 50 cards with you, right? And these boxes that you see, they were different cards, right? So imagine a use case, guys, you go to a website which is of cars, right? How would that website work? It will have different car objects, right? And each of these boxes will be representing a car, right? So when you want to display the type of it, the engine of it, whatever, you will have to display it in a certain manner, right? Does everyone understand this, what I just said? Yes, it's a very it's a use case that we need to know how to sort of deal with, right? Because in real website, this is a very common thing. Basically, when you see a car website, a Pokemon website, any kind of website, right? So what is everything, guys? Everything will definitely be modeled as an object, right? And you need to extract things from an object. You need to know how to play with an object, right? Okay, enough talking. Now let me explain. Okay, so guys, can we achieve this now? Irfan, Amit, can anyone help me with achieving this? We know how to achieve this, right? These are basically different properties of the object. Can we extract those? Ajit, I'll be explaining that. Please let me teach. Don't say all of these things right now. Okay, guys, my question to everyone. Can we achieve this? We have the object in place. Can we write a function? Okay, now is when we ask the question, right? So the question is this, to try to understand it. Function, right? We'll call it serialize. We'll call it stringify, or make it into a string, right? Stringify, right? To which we pass car, right? And what it should return us, it should return us the color. I mean the color, the engine, and what we had made as weight. I'm going to make it weight this time. Weight is 900. Okay, so it should look like color colon red, engine CC 1000, weight 900. This is what I want to return from this function. We'll give it 2 minutes and everyone will think about it. How can I achieve this? To this function, I'm going to pass the car object. It's 8:55. I'll circle back at 8:57. Just think. Okay, Sergil thinks has an answer. So name property, right? We have to be. Rahul, please focus on the question. The question is just this. No property, no HTML, nothing here, Abhi. Abhi ke liye we just need a function which can take the car object and make it like this. Right? Once you're able to do this in string format, problem is automatically solved. You can just show the string on your HTML page. Question is how to do this. Okay, Shivam, good try. Shivam, it's fine, but you're missing the colons. So it's very simple, right, guys? We can do. Amit, do you want to explain it step by step? I'll just type out whatever you say. Amit, since Shivam's mic is not working. Okay. Go ahead, unmute yourself and go ahead.
Am I audible, sir?
Perfectly, go ahead.
So, sir, what I was thinking is maybe we could, use 3 different variables and store the values, but just kind of reiterating to what Shivam had said and what I had posted earlier. We can maybe write like directly with a return function or whichever way, or maybe store it in a string. So if we just what Nagendra has written, we'll write color.
Console.log. We don't want to log it. We want to return
so
it.
we'll return it, or maybe store it in some variable and call it later on.
Okay.
Okay. तो क्या करेंगे, रिटर्न में सबसे पहले हम लोग लिखेंगे, हम लोग को कलर चाहिए था, तो we will write color in inside inverted commas or double quotes, color कोलोन, फिर एक प्लस साइन देंगे, फिर उसके बाद विल बी राइटिंग कार डॉट कलर। तो ये कार डॉट कलर वो कलर का वैल्यू देगा, देन प्लस, देन इनसाइड इन्वर्टेड कॉमा विल बी राइटिंग इंजन सीसी।
नो, यू विल राइट कॉमा फर्स्ट।
ओ सॉरी आई वाज मिसिंग दैट, सॉरी। इंजन सीसी कोलन, फिर उसके बाद इन्वर्टेड कॉमा के बाद प्लस साइन देंगे सर।
यहाँ पे ओके
नहीं, उसके बीच में भी देंगे ना सर, इन्वर्टेड कॉमा के बाद लाइन नंबर 709 में इंजन सीसी आफ्टर डबल कोट्स।
ओके, एंड हियर देयर विल बी अ प्लस साइन।
नहीं, I
think about
yes,
it.
something, yes sir. And then immediately after the double quotes are ending.
Here, you mean?
Yes sir, after the double quotes.
Okay, perfect.
And then after the last plus sign, we will again be giving this thing, double inverted commas. Double inverted comma में पहले हम लोग comma दे देंगे because we need a separator like that. फिर weight colon, and after inverted commas we'll write plus, then car weight.
Perfect. Looks nice. Let's try running it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so we have stringify car. Okay, seems like we made a mistake. Yes, the mistake is this was not in inverted commas. This was not closing here, I think. Where is the extra colon? Okay, let me read the whole thing and we'll fix it. Okay, so we had color inverted commas close plus car dot color plus, then inside this we did not need this, right? This thing will be inside inverted commas, right? Then there will be plus car engine, right? Then there will be plus inside which there is going to be weight, right? And then after this we have to have another plus which will have car weight. Sounds good everyone now? Okay, let's try it again, see if we've missed anything or not. Okay, looks like we haven't. Clear? Now what we can do is we can call stringify car and just pass our car object to it. Let's see what we get. And there's a mistake. So it's saying weight is undefined, and that's happening because this car object had type and did not have weight, right? So let's say we add weight to it, and I make weight as 900. Now when you call the same function, works perfectly, right? Everyone understood this? Yes or no, guys? Okay, but guys, exactly like Sergio mentioned, this is a very cumbersome process, right? It's not easy each time that we have to write something like this, isn't it? It's very error prone, right? Right, just while writing it, we made this mistakes between plus, comma, and just imagine this is an object which has 3 lines. A real world object representing a real car will have thousands of lines, right? It can have thousands of properties, hundreds of properties. So it's not a scalable solution for sure, right? But there has to be a better answer to it, right? So we'll iteratively, we'll try to build a better answer to it. Okay, shall we try that out? Guys, shall we try it out? Okay, perfect. So the first problem is this object today had only one property. Yes, Amit. The intention is to use a loop, but the problem with using a loop is you need to know that which all objects are in it. Otherwise, how are you going to access car.color, car.engine, car.weight, right? You need to know what properties are inside this object, right? But since, of course, this is JavaScript and the people around the world use it, there has to be a better implementation of it, right? So let's try to understand it. Okay, so the first thing that we need to know is there is a special property in objects which is called object.keys. Okay, let me just explain it to you, don't worry. So right now our car has 4 properties: color, engine CC, type, and weight. Okay, when you want to access all the properties, right, or all the keys of your object, you can simply do this in JavaScript. Capital O object dot keys So guys, just understand this again. Please understand this again. Be very, very attentive right now. What I have done is there is an object method. Okay. There is an object method, just like there's a date dot now, right? Similarly, there's an object. So literally, if I have to say it, there's an object, right? With a special attribute on it, which is called keys, right? And what is keys? Keys is a function or it's an object method, right? Did everyone understand this so far? What I'm saying here, guys, I'll repeat it again for everyone. Just like we learned yesterday, there is something called as date.now. Just like we learned that there was something called as math.min or math.max or many other math methods, right? Similarly, there are object methods also. Not this object, but the capital O object in JS, right? That has a property on it, which is called keys. Okay, and the way it works is whenever you pass any object to it. So let's say I'm passing car to it. What is it returning me, guys? Can everyone see this? Array of what? Array of what? Array of the properties of that, properties or keys of that object. Everyone understood this? Right? Is it complicated? No, right? And now, Amit, do you want to simplify this whole thing? Can you help me in simplifying this whole thing? Sure. I'll unmute you. Go ahead again. Go ahead.
So, sir, we will first. Hello.
Yeah, Amit, what I'm going to do is, so this was the first method, right?
Right, sir.
We had to do this very horrible thing. Now what we are going to do is stringify car improved. Okay, go ahead.
So we will first write object.keys.
Okay.
And inside inside the braces, inside the parentheses, we'll write cars. Car.
Okay.
And then this value, sir, I had used it last night. I was doing something, but I could not succeed. So maybe I'll be speaking wrong and nonsense. Please forgive me for that.
Absolutely.
So अभी क्या करेंगे? इसका values को we'll be storing in some array, and then for each element of that array.
Can I write like this?
Maybe yes, sir. And then for
why maybe this returns an array. I can store the array in a variable, right?
Yes.
Okay. Then no, maybe you're perfectly right.
Okay. So then for each element in car keys.
How do I write that?
For each, I believe, we write for each, and inside bracket we'll write car keys.
Perfect. How do I write for each?
Simple. FOREACH.
For each, like this?
Yes. E capital, right, sir. Sorry, my mistake. Then inside we will write this thing. Nay, I'm forgetting something. I'm forgetting something.
Let me take you back to the notes. वो देख के बताना. यहाँ पे क्या लिखा है?
हाँ, right. Sorry, my mistake. We'll be writing car. नहीं, cars नहीं. क्या था array? For car keys dot for each.
Really nice, यार.
Car keys dot for each. Okay. And inside that for each we'll be passing two elements. I mean two parameters.
Amit, नहीं, step by step. What does for each take? पहले ये बताओ.
For each क्या करेगा? It will iterate or.
What is this thing that for each takes?
Pardon, sir. Pardon the question, please.
The question is very simple. What does for each take?
For each will take two parameters.
No, it takes one parameter. दोबारा गलती कर रहे हो. सब लोग गलत बोल रहे हो. समझाया था उस दिन.
It takes one, but we may pass two parameters. No, is it right, sir?
It just takes one.
Okay.
Yes, Krishan is the only one who said right. Very good, Krishan Kumar. It takes one argument, which is a function.
Okay. This was the mistake as doing it last night. That's right.
So what do I write here?
that was the reason I was unable to do it. Okay, so for each may we'll be creating a function.
How do I
है ना?
write that?
So function may we'll be going in for a one-line function maybe,
That's good.
and we'll be passing el say for elements and I for index,
Then it has to be written like this.
and then arrow, and then cars dot no. Confusing. I'm confusing myself.
You're very close. Socho.
Just forgot, sir. Just forgot. I've confused myself totally.
Okay.
Car keys
Let me-
dot.
Guys, so we are writing a function inside this, right? We could have done this, or we could have.
I'll
written-
mute myself, sir.
Sure, go ahead. Or we could have written the function keyword. In case of function keyword, there will be no arrow, right? But I prefer arrow. It's smaller. Okay. In here, what all you need to do is you need to return console.log. For each cannot return anything. Remember that, guys. Console.log, right? And what do we do here? We simply say string. Okay. ELE is basically the name of the key. So I'm going to write it like ELE plus colon and the actual value, right? So what is that going to be? Plus car keys of ELE, right? Let me explain this to you. Let me explain it here. Okay, so you had a car, right? Let's say in one value, in one variable, let's say in a variable A, I'm storing the value of that key, right? Color. So we know that color is a property of car, right? So I could have done car.color. This is perfectly valid, but car.a is not valid. Okay, because what JavaScript does is it considers this as the string part. So if you have it in a variable stored separately, instead of saying dot, you'll have to say of. So car of A is red because A is nothing but color and car of color is red. Did everyone understand this? Very simple concept. Guys, needs to be clear with everyone, please. Yes or no? Yes, okay, perfect. I've done nothing else here. What I'm saying is I'm saying console.log ELE, which is nothing but these keys, right? Because let car keys is basically the array of these keys, color, engine, CC, weight, type, whatever, right? So what it's going to do is let's say for the first iteration, this array is going to be of, it's going to have color like a string, CC like a string again, weight like a string, of course, and type. Okay, you start iterating over this array. You'll have color, right? What are you going to write on the first iteration? It will be ELE, which is nothing but color. Then there will be a colon. Then there will be car keys of that color, right? Which is going to be red, right? So what will the first line log? It will log color colon red, right? You guys understood this? Did you guys understand this? Okay, now what we're going to do is we'll run this. First, I'll remove this. Again, just writing this function, stringify car improved. Okay, call stringify car with the car. And what do you see, guys? Did we get our answer? Did it work? Is it improved? It's improved, right, everyone? Yes, keys. That's what you need, ना? Sirjul, और क्या चाहिए आपको? Properties ही तो चाहिए. Does anyone have any question? Oh, my bad. Thank you. Thank you for pointing this out. Thank you, Nagendra. I call it like this, and this is what happened, right? Why did this happen? Because we called the array. Car keys is the array and car is the object. Right? Now let's copy this again and try this out. Thank you for pointing that out here. This is what happens. Everyone understood? Yes, because car keys would have given was an array, right? Okay, so easy concept, good concept, but the problem here, everyone, is it's coming in different lines, right? This is not really the output that we had expected. The output we had expected was this. It should be in one line, right? Separated by commas. Who can help me build this? This is a question of arrays, data structures again. We've covered this earlier also. Who in this class will help me achieve that? Console.log is definitely not the way to go about it. Shivam, you can? Yes, Rahul. Rahul, brilliant. Can you help me with that join, Rahul, though? But what will you store in the array? These are some important questions. Rahul, do you want to speak this time? Okay. Shivam, आप बताओ. Where Shivam?
Hello.
Hi, Shivam.
Sir, I am audible.
Yes, now you are.
Yes. Okay, sir. सर इसको जो console.log में लिखी है सर, ये सारी चीज हम इसको एक स्ट्रिंग में असाइन कर सकते हैं, लाइक str प्लस इक्वल टू एलिमेंट प्लस और जो रेस्ट ऑफ लिखी है.
ओके ओके. एंड और कोई आंसर है आपके पास?
सर इसको हम लाइक सर अभी तो यही है मेरे पास.
ठीक है, I'll take it. Okay, Adam, क्या नहीं समझ में आया? You said repeat. Adam, what is your question? पूछो. कंसोल क्या? इससे भाई पूरा बोलो ना एक बार. अनम्यूट करना है तो बताओ. हाँ, इसमें क्या नहीं समझ में आया आपको? Did you not understand this part? या फिर this part क्या नहीं समझ में आया? Because these are just two strings जिसको हम प्लस लगाकर ज्वाइन कर रहे हैं. You did not understand this one? Okay. I have only said this thing. Let's say there was a car object, right? Which looks like this. When you, let's say, want to access the color of a car, you can say car.color, right? Okay. But let's say this was stored in a different variable like this. Okay. अब आप car.a नहीं कर सकते. To access it, you will have to do car of a. That's the only thing which I said. In this case, ELE क्या है? ELE is basically the object key stored in a variable called ELE. So you could not do car.ele, so you had to do car of ELE. Is it clear, Adam? हाँ या ना? Perfectly clear है ना? पूछ लो दोबारा नहीं तो. The pluses here and here also are for joining the string. Concatenation. अंकित ये सब मत पूछो यार, बहुत बार बता दिया है. When you have to join two strings, you add pluses, right? We can have a variable between them also. So A was color, right? So now it becomes hello color world. And of course you could have added colons or what or dashes or whatever, right? As long as, of course, they are inside this. Ankit, समझ में आया या नहीं? Ankit, I'm asking you a question. Cool. Okay. Now the question was, we wanted to see them like this and not in separate lines, right? Right now, what is happening is when we call the function, they're happening in different lines like this. The question was how to improve them. Okay, very simple. So there are few methods. How can I use join? Sweta, आप मुझे बताओ array कहाँ पे? On which array can I use join? Give me the answer, Sweta. Sweta, on which array can I use join? Please tell me. Car keys is an array. Can I use join on that? Will that work? Okay, I'm waiting, Sweta. Yes, Amit, that is a perfectly valid solution. Amit, do you want to tell everyone the solution which you just talked about? जो आपने लिखा एक बार समझाओगे और कोड लिखवाओगे मेरे साथ?
हेलो सर.
गुड अजय, अमित भी सेम चीज ही बोल रहा है. बताओ कैसे करें अमित?
सर सबसे पहले we'll declare or we'll declare a new array and right sir, and then where we have written console.log in line number 717 we'll maybe comment it out. हाँ ठीक है. तो we'll write dot push and this thing. And just after the for car keys have finished, then here we'll display or return the final. No, abhi nahi, abhi join karna hai. Then we'll write final answer dot join.
Okay, so I can write this
dot join. And then inside that, within the single quotes, we'll write the separators, whatever was required. So in that case, I believe it was comma. Yes, sir. Then we'll give a semicolon at the end.
And return.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Final, sir.
Very nice, Amit.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
So now we have this method, and let's try if Amit's answer really works. And there it is. Perfect, Amit. Perfect. Guys, did everyone understand? Right? Not very hard, right? What type of data are we pushing into the array? We are pushing a string, Chinmay. Whenever you are adding plus here, this is a string, plus a string, plus a string. So it's a string. This is really nice, guys. From not knowing JavaScript at all, we've reached to this point. This is not a small thing. I mean, you should all clap for yourself. Very nice. Really happy. Okay, we'll move to a further improved solution. Let's call it further improved. Okay, right? See, there were few things here which were not needed, right? So guys, you should always try to make your code short, right? Because when you write less code, there is less chance for bugs, right? Okay, so one thing which I find redundant here, Amit, is there was no need to store this in a separate variable. We could have just done this, right? Guys, everyone with me, keep saying yes or keep saying no, right? There was no need for this bracket because it's a single line function. So this goes away, right? In an ideal scenario, what would be the best solution is you would never have to declare this variable also, because whenever you're trying to make this variable, simply guys, whenever you try to write more code, you just have more surface area for more bugs to creep in, right? Because let's say you made some mistake here, lots of area for mistakes, right? So how can we improve this even further? Okay, now let's look at the perfect solution. Do you guys want to look at it? Okay, so there are two solutions as for me, right? Two perfect solutions. One is a knowledge-based thing, which you don't have right now with respect to that technique. So I will not talk about it. The second one is this. We could have done, instead of using for each, we could have done reduce. Right, guys? Reduce takes two arguments. One is a function, of course. The other is the initial. The other is an initial value, which is the initial value of ACC, right? So I would, when solving a question like this, I would take it as an empty string, right? Or you can take it as an empty array and then join. The best way to do it is take it as an empty string from the very beginning. Okay. Then here we will have ACC, and of course we will have EL, right? And what are we going to return, guys, each time? What are we going to return each time? Okay, let me first teach you with an array. That would be slightly simple. Okay, so we have an array, empty array, which is basically our final answer array. And what I'm going to do here each time is this, right? I'll say ACC, right? Just take the ACC array, push to it. What do you push to it? You push EL, this thing, the same thing, right? EL, or I'll just make it ELE so that this can be used as it is. So what are you pushing? You're pushing the string first. Understood, guys? Or let me just expand it so that no one has a doubt. Okay, so you are pushing ACC.push ELE to ACC each time, and then what you return ACC. Okay. Now what is going to happen? Initially it was an empty array. First time you ran, ACC was an empty array. You pushed to ACC ELE colon the value, right? And you returned ACC. The next time this reduce ran is you had ACC with that element. What you did again, you pushed again an element to it, and then you said return ACC. And you keep doing this each time. And what do you get? Finally, you get an array which is full of these things, right? Which is full of the object key colon the object value, right? Finally, all you have to do is, since you know it returns an array, you can just say join, and you can specify a comma. Right? Try to run this. Stringify further improved car. It says join is not defined. Okay, because I put a comma because we mistakenly put a comma, not a dot. Right? Right now, nothing have happened. Why? Because we did not return anything. So it returned undefined. Now, do we have our answer, guys? Do we have our answer, people? Okay. Pretty cool, right? Guys, did you like the answer? Okay. And since it's a one-line function, you should not even use this. You can just remove these. And now there is no return keyword also. That's it. Right? Let's try that if this works. Okay, and looks like we made some mistake here. Yeah, we have not put an equal to here. Let's take it again. Paste it. Okay, it's telling me that it's already been used. No worries. It will be fine now, right? Stringify car further improved. Pass a car to it. Right now there is no car, so we'll have to get a car first. And it works perfectly. Right? So in this answer, there is no object, there is no variable creation. It's a plain and simple answer. Right, guys? Now the question is, can we further improve this? Is there more scope for improvement here? Do you guys think there is? Anyone? Anyone? Can you think of a better solution here, guys? Yes or no? Okay, Shivam, can you think of it? A better solution here? Okay, tell me, what do you think? Okay, if we use a string, then definitely we can remove the join also, right? So to remove this join, we will make this into an empty string first, right? And in each time, instead of saying acc.push, we are going to say acc plus is equal to, right, this thing. Make sense for everyone? Shall we try this? No, Ajit, we can't, and I just explained 2 minutes back why we can't. Still works. But now the problem is there is no comma here. So what should we have done? We should have added a common comma here. Like this. Right? Guys, did you understand, everyone? Paste the code where? This is the code, yeah. I've pasted it here. Where do you want me to paste it? Okay, last question. Can we further improve this? I don't use VS Code. Can we further improve this? Shivam, can we further improve this? Okay, Pradeep, perfect. String literals are one part. We can use that. Anything else? Yes, we can get return. We can get rid of this return part. Yes, return, remove the return part. Okay, how to do that? We can remove this from here. We can remove this because then there will be only one line. And then what we can do? We can simply say ACC plus this guy. Will that work, guys? So in a way, we have written a one-liner now. Right? Yes, Ajay, sure, I'll take care of that. Sure, let me just copy all of them so that you guys later don't get stuck. Okay, so this is one. This was another one. And then this was the perfect one. Right? Amit says, but will this not return an extra comma at the end? Very, very good observation, Amit. This is what I was coming to. This is going to return one extra comma at the end, right? Because what we are doing is we are adding a comma at the end each time. Really nice, Amit. I wanted someone to say that. Okay, how can we solve that? How can we solve that, guys? So there is something called a substring in Java, but I'll talk about that later. Okay, right now we're going to stop here with this optimization. But are you guys clear with all of these? So guys, this is where we started, by the way, where we were writing everything like this. Then we went on to this solution where we were declaring multiple variables using for each. Then we moved on to this. Then we moved on to this. And then finally we ended up here. Right? Is every iteration of this clear to everyone? Yes. Now, Pradeep mentioned about something called as string literals. Okay. So another very important concept that now since Pradeep has mentioned it and since we're very close to it, let's cover it here itself. Last function, can you repeat? So it's like this, right? What do we do here is we know that each time the reduced loop runs, it's going to return the accumulated value, right? What I'm doing here is I'm just adding the remainder string to it. So the first time this was an empty string. Okay. What I added is ACC plus ACC, which was an empty string, plus this whole string. And what is this? This is basically your color plus car color, right? So it has that data. You returned that whole thing. The next time it ran, it already had the car color wala thing, right? Which was part of ACC. And to that, you added the next part, right? And that you just kept going. I hope it's clear. Okay, great. Yes, Amit. Removing the last part of the string is actually very simple. Just don't want to talk about it right now because I have not taught you guys string methods. Okay. Yes, Shivam, we will be using slice only. You're absolutely right. But since people don't know about slice right now, didn't want to talk about it. Slice on strings. We've already covered slice on arrays, right? Cool. So we now know what object.keys does. How it works is basically giving us an array of object keys, and then we can move on it. Right? Okay. So this is how we access the keys of an object, and then we did a question also on it. What next? Guys, just like we access the keys of an object, we can also access the values of an object, right? Let me explain that. So let's say you had car, which looks like this. So we accessed the keys right now, color, engine, type, and weight, right? What we could have also done is there's something called as object.values, right? And when you pass car to it, it gives you the values, right? Just like we have object.keys, we have object.values. Clear? Everyone, is this a concept that you should know? Okay. And yet another one, there is something called as object.entries. Any guesses what this guy will give? It will give both of them as an array of two elements. So look at this. What does it give you? It gives you an array which had color and this and this. Understood? Everyone, object.entries. So we could have also used this one, object.entries, said map on it, right? Access the element, right? Right, guys? Now we know this element is basically nothing but this array. So we could have said EL, return a string here, EL of 0 plus colon EL of 1, right? What this gives you? Okay, looks like we've made some mistake, a plus sign. What this gives you, it gives you an array which looks like this, color red, this. And then you could have simply said join with a comma. Does this also give us the same answer? Did everyone understand what I did? Enjoying it, guys? Very simple, right? Using array methods and making our lives very, very easy. Did everyone understand this code? Guys, bolo na sab log, if you understood this or not. Yes, you can forget all the previous. Okay, can I repeat once? Can someone repeat this for me? I want to see who has understood it. Who will repeat this for me? Amit, औरों को भी chance दो यार. Anyone else apart from Amit? Okay, Vinay. Vinay, you've never spoken. Go ahead, Vinay. Go ahead, Vinay. Vinay, you can unmute yourself.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Vinay, can you explain us?
Sorry.
Vinay, are you there? Okay, looks like Vinay is facing some issues with his mic. So anyway, I'll explain it. So when you say object.entries, right, what does it give you, guys? It gives you an array of arrays, right? So it gives you an array where each array, the 2-element array, is basically the key and its value. Do you guys understand this? The key and the value concept with object.entries? So the only thing I said, the only thing I literally did, since I know this is an array, so I know I can dot map over it, right? I can do that, right? I'm taking EL as the callback, right? And what I'm returning is very simple. I'm saying EL 0 because EL is going to be this element, which is an array. So EL of 0 is going to give me color or the first element. To that, I'm saying plus. I'm adding a colon here. Again, another plus and EL of 1, which will be this element. When you press enter here, this is what you get. You get an array of key value pairs, which are joined by a colon, right? Then as we know, this is an array. All I'm doing is I'm saying join the comma. Is this complex? Is this hard or complex? Okay, so we'll add this also to one of our solutions. That's it. This is a true one-liner. Sir, is the result stored in some array? Nahin, Amit. Basically, map kya karta hai? Map returns a new array. There's no storage here, yaar. You call this function, it's returning this. Okay. Ankit is saying, sir, isn't it already joining with commas? What is joining with commas? Okay, Ankit, what are you talking about? This thing is basically returning an array, right? Because dot map returns an array. This was an array. of arrays. I said dot map, and I ended up returning these things, right? But then I need to join these things also with comma, right? So to that I said dot join, and I said comma. Is there a doubt, Ankit? Ankit, is there a doubt? Yeah, of course, arrays always show up with commas, right? So even if you build a simple array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so this will also show up with commas only, right? So those arrays are just like any other array, showing array of strings showing with commas. Yes, so basically these are tools, right? Object.entries, object.keys, object.values, these are tools which you are using, right? Which you are using for your own advantage. Yes, Ankit. Guys, is everyone clear up until this point? Shall I move forward? Okay, perfect. So we used object.entries, joined all of them, right? Great, great. Okay, so yes, I mean, this is about object.methods, right? And of course, what is remaining now? We wanted to update this guy, this item 3 with the joint values. So car was definitely not compatible there, but when we join it using one of our cool methods, I'm just going to store it into a variable. Data is equal to this. So now car data is a string, right? And now I can just say document this thing is equal to car data. And there we have it. Everyone understood this? So guys, in the beginning of the class, we started with the fact that we had no way of writing an object, and now we have a way, right? We realized that there were multiple ways, multiple things that we could do to an object, and from there, we have finally arrived onto this answer. Can we remove an entry from car? Of course, right? हाँ मैं याद करो सीखा है delete car dot what color done. अमित भूल गए अब. Okay, anyway, I hope you are clear with this. Okay. Yeah, you can just say delete with the name of the property, right? And it will be gone. Yes, Pratik. Update के लिए just assign something else to that property that will update. Delete ऐसे करते हैं. Add करना आपको आता ही है. Okay, okay. Anyway, I'll move forward. Okay, so we know lots of things now to improve this. Okay, one final thing before I move forward. How to deal with methods and object in case. So Pradeep, methods are functions, right? Functions are not something which can have a string value, correct? So you can't convert functions to strings, of course, right? How to read object, Pratik भाई वही तो सीखा है. Keys read कर लो, values read कर लो, और होता क्या है? और क्या read करोगे object में? Okay, anyway, going forward. There is yet another method which is used to create to transform the object into a JSON string, right? So let's say you have the car object which looks like this, and you wanted to convert it into a JSON string. JSON means JavaScript object notation, which means something which looks like this, but it's a string, right? So we can say JSON dot stringify. Done. Right, and what it's going to give us? It's going to give us this thing. Right, now this is a string value. This simple, right? So JSON.stringify. So we've moved from writing all of these, right, to learning about object.keys, object.entries, then using reduce, then finally using entries to simplify everything. And now we are using a one-liner. Done. Clear? So I could have just said all along, I could have just said JSON.stringify. That's it. Here's your answer. Everyone, are we good with this? So now do we know all of the ways in which we can transform objects, do things with them, and everything, right? Okay, great. That was about representing objects, working with them, and a lot of other things, right? Now, another concept here is we wanted to talk about constructors, right? So yesterday also I was mentioning constructors. What are object constructors? We have a few minutes, so I'll just try to quickly cover this. Okay, so what are object constructors? So guys, like I mentioned, what do you mean, Ankit? How many commas do you want it to give? What I'm saying is when you use JSON.stringify on an object, it just converts the object into a JSON string, right? What is a JSON string? JSON is nothing but a key value notation. There's a key and value pair. When you represent it as a string, it's called a JSON string. So JSON.stringify can be used to convert an object to a string. Yes, that's how JSON works. If you really want to remove them, you can use the string replace method. In that, you can just mention replace this guy with nothing, then replace this guy with nothing, and then you can get this. But anyway, don't really need to do that, right? Just a concept. Okay, anyway, moving forward. JSON.stringify to get the stringified string. Okay, finally, constructor functions. Okay, so guys, we've seen that there are some functions or there are some methods which we can call which we call just like that, right? So we say date.now all the time. We say math dot let's say max all the time or floor all the time, right? And today only we saw there was something called as object dot keys. Essentially, what are these? These are object methods, right? So there was an object which was literally called as math. There was an object which was literally called as an object, and there was an object which was literally called as date, right? They had some methods, we were just using them, right? But we also saw some other type of objects, right? So we saw at times we were using new date, right? Does everyone remember this? Everyone remembers this? Yes. Okay. And what was I telling you back then? I was telling you that new, right, is written always in front of a constructor function, right? So what are these constructor functions? Okay. And how can we make our own constructor functions? This is the question that we have for today that we'll try to answer in the next few minutes. Okay. So of course they're functions, which means they would look like this, right? So they would look like function. They would have some value to it. So I'm just going to say car. So let's say this is a car function, right? Okay. So let's just take this function once. It does nothing, right? I'm just going to say function car. Okay, it's already taken. Let me reload the page. Goes away. Function car, right? So I can call car like this. It's saying undefined here because it's not really returning anything, right? What is function car returning? Is returning nothing, which means undefined. Can I also say new car? Like this. Did you guys understand what I did? I did nothing. I just said new and I said car. Normally, I just called it. And what it is returning, guys, this is just returning an empty object, which is weird, right? So what does this return do? Oh, sorry. What does this new do, right? We'll just spend some time to understand that. Okay. So guys, before talking about that, we need to understand what are objects. Okay. So what essentially is an object, right? An object is nothing. It's basically a collection of properties and behaviors, right? So functions and properties is what constitutes an object. These functions are of course called as methods, right? But at times what happens is we want to create. So okay, let me put it like this. So we learned that we are creating a car like this, right? So let's say I wanted to create a car 1, and this is of course a car, right? So how do I create this? I can say color red. I can say engine 1000. I can say I don't know, size 10, right? Okay, red is a string. Red is not a variable, right? So this was used to create an object, right? Now let's say you wanted to have something where you can create multiple cars, right? Are you understanding my question, guys? Let's say we want to build a functionality where we were creating multiple cars. Okay. अरे अमित कुछ भी नहीं बोला यार, सिर्फ इतना बोला है. We've created a car 1 object which has these properties. Okay, which have these properties, right? And this was just one car, right? Let's say you wanted to create multiple cars. Okay, so how do you go about that? Is the only question. How do you generate these objects, right? So what I can think of is this, right? I can have a create car function. Of course, I would want to tell what properties my car has. So color, size are a few of the things, and let's engine. Right, and what this guy is going to do is this guy is going to return an object like this. The color, size, engine, whatever I pass to it. Right? Now, whenever I call create car with these 3 values, whenever I create car with three things. One is, let's say, red, the size is 10, and the engine is 100. Right? So I can just store this in a variable called let car1. Right? And what does this create me? This creates me car1, which is a car, right? Similarly, let's say I wanted to create another car. This time it's yellow. Size is 9. Engine is, let's say, 200. Right? So what car1 and car2 are two different cars, right? So we've created two different cars using this particular create car function. Does everyone understand this? Guys, do you understand this? Okay. Now the problem with this kind of implementation, the problem with this, okay, I'm getting a lot of messages from people that you guys have a class. Guys, let me do this. We can just pause here for today and we'll just keep building on this because it's going to be a new concept. So might take some time, right? I don't know, maybe people have interviews or something. I'm not sure, guys. Okay, I wonder why some people said that. Okay, I'm still getting some personal messages here. Or maybe some people have interviews. I really don't know. Anyway, I'll just push this code till here. And you guys we can meet again tomorrow with building on constructor functions. Right? So we'll carry on with constructor functions tomorrow. And thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Sai. Thank you, Anshul. I hope you guys enjoyed today. Right? Did you guys have fun, everyone? Everything is looking easy? Wonderful here, wonderful. We'll just keep building on these things and things will get more and more easy, right? Eventually. Thank you, Shubham. Glad you liked it. Thank you, Amit, again. Good night, guys. Awesome, Rahul. Thank you, means a lot. Thank you. Okay, the code is pushed. We'll meet tomorrow with constructor functions, guys. I hope you know that timing is now changed. We'll be meeting from 8:30 to 10:15 every day. Right? I hope you guys are aware of that. So it's going to be 1 hour, 45 minutes as the upper limit for us now. This is basically being done because you guys are going to very soon have a different DSA instructor. Right? So yeah, it's going to be a lot of things. Yes, Amit, now question time. So I'm sure people who had whatever things they did, they've left. Now you can ask me. I'm here. If anyone has any questions, please ask. Do we use it in client side, where else are you going to run this JavaScript? JavaScript for you is going to run on client side only, right? The browser. Nope. Database and all these things, we'll talk about those things later. It will most likely be with Java, although I'm suggesting that we should do it with JS. I don't know, Amit. I'm not sure, but not me. Yes, it's a method, right? Yes, Pratibha. I will most likely be taking React, yes. BSc ke liye to guys, I will definitely not have time. We'll try to take React. Yeah. Not Node, guys, not looking like it, definitely. So I'll cover all of the front end now with JavaScript and React. And then the next person can take whatever they want to take. Yeah.